2020 has been an interesting year, as at one point in the height of the pandemic, we were literally stuck in a house for weeks, months, or even close to a year now with nothing but just trying to figure out how to stay safe, how to stay sane. And if you're anybody or anything like me, books are one of those mechanisms that I just use to escape, use to stay connected, and use to stay safe, really. Now, I'm particularly happy to share this video because, like the title says, these are books that I've read in the year 2020. Though not many, because the last 2 years, that is 2018 and 2019, I read no books. Zero, not one. And that's exactly what we're gonna get into in this video. After the intro, I'm gonna share with y'all what books I read this year 2020, what I liked about them, what I didn't like about them, why I would recommend them, why I didn't read any books in the last 2 years. So stick around. After the intro, we're gonna get into it. It's Flex. Let's get it. What's going on, guys? Appreciate you for checking this video out. My name is RifleX, and I'm a writer, I'm a podcaster, I'm an entrepreneur. This channel was just created to bring you into my world, the world of writing, the world of podcasting, and just anything and everything I got going on in my life. Appreciate every returning viewer. If you are new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button, hit that ringer so you get updates every time I drop something new. And please partner with me on Patreon. Thank you to all 6 of my Patreons. I keep saying this. Next video or next month, I want to say thank you to all 10 of my patrons. That's 4 up. So if you're checking this video out, consider partnering with me on Patreon. The link is in the description. You get updates to videos well in advance before I drop them, and you just get to be a part of my creative process, man. Share with you what I'm doing, and you share with me what I can do better, what I cannot do, and you just get access to free merch and dope other stuff. So the link is in the description. Join me on Patreon. I appreciate you for checking this video out, everybody. We're gonna get into it, man. No time to waste. Books I read in 2020. Now, to begin with, like I said, I didn't read any books in the year 2018 and 2019, and that's for a simple fact of that I actually wrote my first novel that published and launched this year 2020 in May. Oh man, this has been a journey. Like since I was about this tall, since a kiddo. I always wanted to be a writer. I'm a creative, always have been a creative. I do music, and that's another thing that you will find in this channel is music. So you can pause this video and go check out some sounds, or you can check it out after, but I appreciate you for sticking around. And I've just been a creative, man. I just always enjoyed the craft of writing. I actually majored in English, quote unquote, in my alma mater, University of Maryland, Eastern Shore. And really what that was literature, like just the art of reading and critically thinking and asking questions from different dimensions that people aren't, just reading words on the page in a novel or whatever kind of book, self-help, whatever it is. It just was great to explore that and finally have something that I said, this is mine, a book that I published and launched this year. And that's the reason why I didn't read anything in the last 2 years, 2018, 2019, because I didn't essentially wanted to be tainted by, anything that I was reading. I wanted what came out of me in the form of my debut novel, No Such Thing as Halfway. If you don't have that, selfless plug right here. The link is right here. Go check it out. It's a dope novel, incredible reviews, and I'm grateful for that. But I just didn't want it to be tainted by what I was reading, you know what I mean, to infuse or get into my novel in whatever shape, way, or form to sound like this and that and the third kind of writer, or use whatever kind of diction or writing style that other writers that I was reading at the time were using. And that's essentially why I just didn't read anything in the last 2 years. And another reason why I didn't read anything is just because I didn't have the time. Like every time that I had, especially as a self-published author, was devoted and spent into perfecting my craft and writing every single day for at least 2 hours a day, or just doing research as a self-published author on how to do it. And I wanted to do everything myself, and that took time, a lot of time researching, a lot of time spent looking for information that is well out there in the internet, but it's not all good. So trying to discern and decipher what is good at the same time, working at the same time, hosting a podcast at the same time, dropping music every single Friday, Flex Friday. If anybody is familiar with the Flex Friday series, I know that was some work. And then at the same time writing a book, my debut novel, boy oh boy, it was a lot of work. So I just didn't have time to read. That's the reason. So now that we got that out of the way, I'll tell you exactly what books I read this year, why I didn't like them, and would I recommend them. Now, book number 1 is this little bad boy right here called Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert T. Kiyosaki. I don't even need to say much about this. This is probably one of the most popular books out there. It's just this year that I'm getting around to it. It's a crazy story about this book though, and this man. But my brother had been talking to me about this book, like, yo, peep this, and I'm just in a stage in life right now where I'm like, man, I need to get my finances together, y'all. I need to, just get some stuff in order. I ain't all that, struggling, but it's always room for improvement, and definitely need a lot of room for improvement. And this book was highly recommended. Shout out to Mane, shout out to my brother, Uncle AK. They were like, you gotta check this book out. He has read it. I think my brother has read it a couple times, if I'm not mistaken. And Rich Dad Poor Dad was the first book I picked up this year, very, very early this year. And it's the crazy thing about this here book, man. I gotta tell y'all, when I started reading this, I was so pumped to read it. I ordered this joint off Amazon. I told my partner, I was like, yo, as soon as I'm done with this joint, I'm gonna slide it to you so you can read it. We about to, be this couple, yo, we got this finances and everything situated, because this guy about to educate us. And then the height of cancel culture happened. We've been, Black Twitter or, social media has been canceling people for a long time. But this year, it's like whatever you can sneeze and you get canceled. Robert T. Kiyosaki, he's OC, and if you're not from the DMV, OC means out of control. If you're from Philly area, OD, overdoing it or overdose, whatever that means. He is OC. He's a crazy individual. I shouldn't say that. He's OC. I'm gonna just leave it at that. Cause the man did a number. He said something about black folks, and I'm just gonna post it right here and let y'all decipher what that means. And he got canceled. He just flat out got canceled. I don't listen to his podcast. He actually has a podcast, and I'm sure he says some other crazy stuff on there. And he's an avid supporter of the incumbent of the White House right now. I'm just gonna put a footnote right here. We are currently in the year 2020. It's exactly 8 days until elections, and if you're watching this from the future, I hope it did you proud in this election cycle. But Robert Kiyosaki, man, I think he apologized. But the point of the story is that it stopped your boy from reading the joint, because I was like, I'm not about to read this. What is he saying? I don't, that's wrong. That's foul. You can't say that, bruh. So for a minute, I just stopped because canceled. I put the book aside. I ain't reading that joint. I was halfway through it. It was some gems and it was some nuggets in it. But I was like, I ain't reading that joint. And but I did eventually go back and finish the book. So I liked the distinction between him getting nurtured by a poor dad, his rich dad, his poor dad, and it just was a very, very well written book. It's dense, it's very thick, as you can see. The dialogue, I'm a sucker for dialogue in books. That's one thing that I try to incorporate in my own books, and just being able to relate to the characters through dialogue. You kind of know what they're thinking more, know where they're coming from more through dialogue. There's some exercises in it. This is updates for today's world with 9 new study sections, and those will be really helpful. So if you're gonna pick this up, find a partner that can really challenge you. It's kind of it works better with an accountability partner. So that's Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's the first book I checked out this year. Getting into book number 2 by your favorite uncle, Dave Ramsey. Now, he's a household name. Uncle Dave Ramsey. I call him Uncle Dave Ramsey because he's just that uncle that, just give you the game on how to manage money. I don't know, a lot of people have different opinions, varying opinions about Dave Ramsey, but he's helped a lot of people out from afar and from near. And Total Money Maker is book number 2. That's book number 2 that I got into this year. As you can see, it's a very financial oriented, year for me, as far as books were concerned, because I was just in a place where I was like, man, what can I, and that's the thing about life, you gotta educate yourself. You gotta read to find out more perspective for stuff that you didn't know. Educate yourself, but also be very discerning. Not everything you read because it was written is good for you. So just get it from the professionals or people who've done extensive research for me. Then take it with a grain of salt, or take it as hard as you want. But Total Money Maker was another book that I got into it. Like I said, Dave Ramsey, man, he be on it. Check out his YouTube channel. New York Times best-selling author. This book is really dope. If you've been following Dave Ramsey, or if you know anything about Dave Ramsey, everything in this book you can pretty much get off his YouTube, as far as his videos on the Dave Ramsey channel. But with reading, you can kind of annotate, and that's what I found myself doing a lot of when I was reading this book. And that's one thing that I like about this book. It really it's very educative to the point where you find yourself annotating, underlining, taking notes. I had a separate book just writing down stuff that I was learning from this book, and that's what I really liked about it. Not a whole lot I didn't like about it, to be honest. So if you want to get your finances in check, This is not sponsored by Dave Ramsey, but I will highly recommend this one, and he's reputable. So Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey was book number 2 that I got into, a proven plan for financial fitness, and I concur. Getting into book number 3. Book number 3 was in the spiritual realm, and this one is by C.S. Lewis. Man, had to have C.S. Lewis in there, you know what I mean? Because, you know, after not reading for 2 years, I just had to get back in like some dense stuff, some good stuff. And shout out to my pastor, man. Shout out to Pastor Charlie Bell, and he recommended this book because if you have not read my book, No Such Thing as Halfway, Pastor Charlie wrote a blurb for my book, a praise, quote unquote praise for my book, and he actually recommended this book in January, I believe, when I shared him a very early manuscript, very early draft of my book, and he was like, man, your book reminds me of A Severe Mercy by C.S. Lewis. I'm just gonna pause right there. That's high praise. That, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if you realize what he said. I don't know if I realized what he said at the moment. My book reminds you of A Severe Mercy by C.S. Lewis. Chill out, bruh. Chill out, bruh. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to toot my own horn, but no such thing as halfway. Go check the book out. But A Severe Mercy was book number 3 that I got into. Why? Because my pastor recommended it. Shout out to Pastor Charlie, like I said. And the stories are kind of parallel, because in my book, you know, it talks about, you know, a long distance couple fighting for their love over tribalism, and their parents who are, you know, very tribal, not, you know, believers, not seeing things from their perspective. And that's essentially what the characters in this here book really go through. They both are agnostics, and at the end, I'm not going to spoil alert, but it's a very parallel story, and it's very redemptive. It's very gut wrenching. It's heartbreaking. It takes you through the feels, man. And so he recommended it, gave me a free copy actually, and I blew through it. I straight blew. The print is tiny, but I blew through it. I was reading this like crazy. It's such a good book. I ain't gonna say too much. That was book number 3, A Severe Mercy by C.S. Lewis. Getting into book number 4. Book number 4 right here was The New Business for Independent Artists and Record Labels by my boy, my man, Emmanuel Kena, JD. Got a lawyer in the building, man. Lawyers representing. This was a good read, man, and I also really appreciated this book because it was actually also a gift. Shout out to Kellen. Shout out to my boo thing, Kellen. She gifted this book to me because, you know, like I said, I'm an artist, I'm a musician, and man, this book was such a great gift, such a good read, and also from a indie author, a self-published author. Shout out to Emmanuel, man. I would say this, listen, there's a lot of great books out there for, you know, people getting into the music industry or just entertainment for whatever reason. I would recommend this book, The New Music Business for Independent Artists and Record Labels. Only thing I didn't like about this book was the formatting, especially as somebody who's done extensive research in his self-publishing. If he could just spend a little bit more money formatting the book, you know what I'm saying, like just making sure the words fit, the sections and subtitles and headings and everything, make this thing really, 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 really dope. Man, listen, this book is phenomenal. Check this book out if you're an independent artist. I definitely recommend it, and I was glad to read this book. Actually, I actually blew through this also. Check it out. That was book number 4. I lost count what book I am in, but this was book number 5, 6 that I think I read, and it's my joint, my very own book, No Such Thing as Halfway, my debut novel. I must have read this thing like buku amount of number of times, but I officially read this after reading all the other books as a finished product. Not the first draft, not the second draft, not the third draft, but the finished book. Like somebody purchasing it off Amazon or Barnes & Noble or from my website, or, you know what I'm saying, a secondhand retail or whatever would read it. I picked it up. I actually bought it. I bought a copy from myself, for myself, and just dove into it and read it. And that was one of the books that I read this year as well. No Such Thing as Halfway by Atoe Bongba. It's a novel, my debut novel. Check it out. Check it out. That was book number 5, I think. Now, book number 6, I actually don't have a hard copy, but I'm gonna put a picture right here for you, and it was Naked Forex. I came across trading this year. Like, you know, I've always been doing stocks, always known about stocks, but the foreign exchange market was something that I just found out about this year, and through a random YouTube video, YouTube ad. It's just a world of its own, and there's plenty of videos out there that you can search and, you know, learn get educated about what forex is. But I really dove into it this year. With anything, you definitely want to educate yourself before going into it. I'm not a huge forex trader or anything, but I just wanted to know, like, what is this market? It's a Naked Forex. It's a highly recommended book by a lot of traders, foreign exchange market traders out there, and I got into it. It's a dope book. I read it PDF version, digital version, and definitely got a lot of education on what forex is, how to do forex, and all that other great stuff. Definitely a lot of great stuff in that book. Check it out if you're into trading. Naked Forex. I forget the name of the author, but the book is right here. You can check it out. I read the PDF version, and yeah, that's book number 7. Book number 7 that I read this year in 2020. Getting into book number 8 is this guy right here. Probably by far the best book I read this year, and this book also, The Meaning of Marriage by Timothy Keller. Tim Keller, first of all, Tim Keller is a prolific writer. If you are not checking out his Proverbs and Psalms devotionals, definitely check that out. If you're somebody who just want to get better praying, better reading daily, or just growing your spiritual faith, Tim Keller is the dude. But this book right here, man, also was gifted by Pastor Charlie to myself and my partner, and you know what I'm saying, it's just that stage in life, bruh. It's just that stage in life, bruh. The Meaning of Marriage is dope for couples, singles, atheists, whatever you are. The Meaning of Marriage, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to knock a book because of its title. Whether you're agnostic, atheist, Christian, Hindu, Buddhist, whatever, get a perspective on The Meaning of Marriage by Timothy Keller with Kathy Keller. And one thing about this book also that I found really good, and I got a pen in here because I'm almost done, I'm in the last chapter, chapter 8, is that it's not just from the male perspective, from Tim Keller's perspective, but it says with Kathy Keller, which is his wife. And it's not one of those things where she's just taking a backseat. Nah, like they co-wrote the book together, and you hear both voices are represented in the book. There's actually chapters that she wrote, chapters that he wrote, chapters that they co-wrote, and it's just both perspectives. And it's The Meaning of Marriage, Facing the Complexities of Commitment with Wisdom of God by Timothy Keller. Incredible book. Still going through it because it's that dope, and I've been reading this particular one for about 2 months now, and I would have finished it, but somebody's taking their sweet time reading their part, so it's all good. But check this book out, The Meaning of Marriage by Timothy Keller. Single, you read it. Courting, you read it. Married, you read it. 5 years married, you read it. Don't care about marriage, you read it. The Meaning of Marriage by Timothy Keller. I think that's book 8. Now getting into these 2 joints right here, I told you I have a surprise at the end. Boy, I'm glad I have these 2 books on writing. How to Craft a Novel That Sells by Lee Michaels, and Stephen King's On Writing, a Memoir of the Craft. Boy. When I wanted to write my novel, I was just like, books on writing. And these 2 joints came up as highly recommended. On Writing and the Stephen King's memoir book. I actually didn't finish these books because they was just like a reference, but I'm just gonna leave that there. These 2 joints, if you're a writer, check them out. Lee Michaels On Writing, How to Write a Novel That Sells, and Stephen King's On Writing, a Memoir About the Craft. Check these books out, please. You will do yourself a favor. And those are the books that I check out this year, 2020. You can see a lot of financing, a lot of, like self-help books, a lot of just growth books on my craft personally as a novel writer as well. And it was a great year reading, and I'm just happy to get back into the swing of things. I really wanted to check out Homecoming, I believe is the title. I'm gonna put it right here. And I also wanted to check out Stay With Me by Mba Boy. I'm gonna put it right here as well. These are 2 books that I really wanted to check out this year. They get a chance to, but definitely will put it in my next year's list. I want you to hit the comments. Let me know what books you have read in this list, in my list. Let me know what books you read this year. Let me know what books you wanted to read but didn't get into, and what books you plan on reading next year. Definitely want to stay up, keep the mind focused, keep the mind read next year, and appreciate you checking this video out. The books that I read this year. Click the subscribe button, like I said, hit the ringer so you get updates every time I drop a new video. And like I said, hit the comments. Let me know what books y'all checking out, what books you have checked out from my list. Maybe we can collab and read a book next year. I don't know. Homecoming and Stay With Me too that I really want to check out. Let me know what books I should check out from your list that you think are really dope, that you would recommend. Again, appreciate y'all checking this video out. I'm Flex, and I'll see y'all in the next video.